I'm going to run through the steps real quick with you to show you how this machine works. Initially up front, you're going to have in-feed conveyor on the left-hand side, main machine, an index feed system that'll advance forward, and then you have an out-feed conveyor on the outside, right-hand side of the machine. The main control area of the machine, you've got a little PLC running with a keypad entry. There's a little digital screen on here that tells you what's going on. You've got your main power light, you've got your fault light, your cycle light. On the top you have the emergency e-stop. By chance you would hit that, everything shuts down, you discharge the air, the machine is safe at that point. You're ready for lockout tag-up procedures if you're going to do maintenance. Right on the screen, hopefully you can see this in the video, maybe not, but I'll read it to you anyway. It says enable power, pull the e-stop button. So it tells you once you've hit it, you've already, hey guys, pull it back out, you can go ahead and start running the cycle of the machine again. Once again, the power light's on. As soon as we've initiated the e-stop, it says general operation. You've got calibration. You can go into calibration mode, set the machine up. You say, well, okay, I'll go through some of this with you real fast. What's calibration? Every once in a while, you're going to need to go through and calibrate the machine, find out where zero is each time. Now, that can easily be done. We've got a series of knobs. You've got two on the left-hand side, one on the right-hand side. Well, what we're actually going to do is you're going to go into calibration mode. You have a series of 5 buttons on the left-hand side. You also have a keypad on the right-hand side. Each time you have a choice, there's each one of the buttons, there's a little tiny red light. In this case, there's 2 options. Try to keep this real simple, real easy for everyone to understand. So when there's a choice to be made, a light illuminates. You have choice A or B. In this case, you want to change the mode or you want to go on to the next situation. In this case, you go to the next situation, you say, what's the angled cut? Zero index. What's the index? How far are you going? Length of material. Stringer tolerance. In-feed direction. So you can actually in-feed material from the left-hand side, from left to right, or from right to left. You want to move it back and forth. Which stringer do you want to cut first determines whether you're going to cut left or right. Next screen is calibration mode. You can go through, change stuff on it. There's also a on the screen that identifies previous. So you can actually go to the previous page if you want to make a correction. Say, oh, I forgot. You can go backwards. Okay. All right. Real quick. Run right through all the screens. Hopefully you guys can see all this in the video. Kind of away we go. Now, real quick as we run through this, you're going to say, well, what's my material? I want to say, am I going to do 7-inch rise and a 12-inch run? You're actually going to go into the screen and you're going to identify and you're going to key all that in. So you're going to key in your 7-inch rise and your run. The other thing is, what's the angle? The computer, once you tell it the information, the computer's going to say, okay, I need you to dial me into this. You'd actually take your crank. I'm going to go ahead and adjust this one. You can see I'm adjusting the angle that we're actually going to make the cut as the saw blades come in. I'm going to crank this quite a bit so y'all can see it. I'm going to go backwards. And I'm going to dial this in for my tolerance. And there we are. Next thing we have for you is the actual feed operation. You're going to say, well, how far are we going to advance the material? Well, you've got a series of clamps on the left-hand side. Opposite side, you've got another series of clamps. Once the board gets through there, initially we're going to come in here, grab the material, get it set in place up against the fence, clamp it. You've got a ball screw and a sensor on it, and you've got an encoder on the opposite end over here. It talks to the computer, and all you have to do, kind of blocking your view here, but you actually dial it in. The computer says, okay, it ought to be 6.59. That's what we're going to dial it into, is 6.59. And all you have to do is keep dialing until you get to 6.59. The other thing you're going to do is the computer's going to say, okay, well, how far does the nose need to be? It's going to tell you that answer also on the screen. You've got a pointer right here in a scale on the main frame. So you're going to run this back, and we're going to go approximately 6 1/16 according to what the computer's telling me. So you set that with your pointer, These two actually have digital readouts on the screen, and you're pretty much ready to go. Now, let's say we want to do the skirt board. Real quick, you can do 90-degree cuts. Okay, you have two bars that actually come in, clamp the working surface up against the fence. This clamp comes down with about 300 pounds of clamp force, squeezes it against the working surface. At that point, each one of the saw blades will come in independently, one at a time. It'll make its cut, retract. Next one will come in, cut, retract. There's a cursory guard that goes around the front of this machine, and there's a vacuum pickup port on the back sides over here. We don't have them hooked up in this case, and you can't hardly see them in the video. They'll be on here. This will be a shield that lifts up, that type of style. The back architecture will be wide open because there's so much going on back there, and here's one of the main reasons. We want to do a skirt board, for instance, a 45-degree miter cut. You're actually going to take this portion of the arm, and you're going to lay it down. We have a fixed stop on the back side, quick adjust handle. Now you're ready in this application. Once again, another fixed stop. You can have both heads hanging down. Lock in your quick adjust handle. You're ready to do your skirt board at the 45-degree cut. I'm going to go ahead and set these back up. It's a fixed stop on both sides. Lock everything into place. Alright, once you get on the screen says automatic mode. There's a there's an edit location, and there's an adjust, and there's a start. When you get to your edit location, you can actually go through, set your rise and your run. Okay, based on your rise and run, it tells you approximately where to go on how to turn the dials. Everything's centrally located so you can easily get to the screen. Same with the emergency stop. I'm going to go ahead and hit start. You've got 4 buttons. Once again, you got four choices to choose from. I'm going to go back or forward. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and start. The saw blades come on. We clamp the material. We make our first initial cut into the material. It's going to stop and index. Depending, once again, what you're doing, we actually make the first cut. With the first cut in mind, you can actually grab the skill saw and finish the cut. You have a line already started for you. Nice, easy advantage. Now, we've also got a little waste disposal. Flips up in the center in between. Each and every time, regardless of the angle, the material flips up, goes actually underneath the machine into a tray system. Now, we spent quite a bit of time trying to get customer input on this machine. Talking to people across the nation. A lot of different needs, a lot of different desires here. One of the things on the top side, you can see the overcut. For instance, like on a skirt board, you're going to be generally at a 45. It looks pretty sharp. Guys up in the northern end of the world and out in the California end of the world, west. That 45-degree skirt board is kind of important. But the other side is going to be to a nice, crisp, sharp point. We get all done here, I'll pull this board out, let everybody take a look at it. Once again, each and every time, the material gets ejected underneath the machine, out of the way. Runs nice and easy. Smooth operation. Later on in this video, we're just going to have a little bit of general running and cycling with not a lot of activity going on as far as talking, but it'll give you an idea what's happening. Comes in, makes its cut. We've got a cable management system up top. We've got a series of dead stops on either saw with a sensor attached to each one, so it knows when we've actually made the mark and when we haven't. Comes back to the processor, tells it what's going on. So we're keeping track of it. We've identified how many steps each time the clamps come in, grab the material, advance it on through, as you can see it happens. Okay, and here we are. That's all the steps that I cut. identified 6 to the machine, so that's enough. Give you some idea what's going on here. You could actually, at this point, you could say, well, I want to cut a few more, advance the material through a few more times and so forth. I'm going to actually back this out, try and get this in a spot so you can see it. We made the last final cut. Let's see if I can get in here and show you this. We've got the last final cut, so if you want to come in here with your skill saw, you've already got a guide to go from. You have a guide on the top and the bottom. Customers ask us of us, we can get that done. Now, you've got an overcut here. I'm going to pull this board out, flip it over, get it back in here, and you're coming in, you're going to get a nice clean cut each time. This is your 5/4. I'm going to swing over. I've got some 2x on the floor down here. Try and show you what's going on. Here's one I cut just a little while ago. You get in here, you got a nice sharp point on the overside. Other side, for your open stringer, you got your overcut. Okay. This is 2x material. We run 1x10 up to 2x12. That's the range. In some applications, you can actually, depending on the material itself, you can cut 2 of these at the same time. I'm going to go ahead and reload this. Get a couple more boards up here. Go through that process with you. Well, I got 2 different materials here. Let me throw one of these other guys back on. Now, the saw itself actually comes, a couple different things that are happening here. You've got 5 leveling points. You've got a leveling leg system for the entire machine. The OSS saw actually comes with an installation. Service guy comes out, sets the machine up, shows you how to run it, how the calibration works, how you can calibrate it yourself. It's not necessary for us to come out and do it for you. Nice little benefit. I'm going to go down here low real quick. We got our standard Triad leveling feet. We use on all of our Triad and Ruvo product lines that we sell here at American Machine Company. For the most part, you got a 1/8 nut, goes in the foot on the bottom side. You've got an open 1.5 wrench, so you can actually dial this in, adjust it, and there's a 3/8/16 bolt on top. Once it's all shot in and leveled, tighten your 3/8 nuts down, it stays positioned. Now go ahead and anchor the machine to the floor. Now, the in-feed and the out-feed conveyor likewise will be anchored into your floor. That's a requirement. It's not an option. The reason for that, if your conveyor isn't in line, the boards are going to want to follow the conveyor and not necessarily follow the path that we need to make a good strong cut across the machine, okay? We don't want it wandering off. So when we come on the install, it's going to be necessary for you, the customer, to provide to us. We're going to need a transit to shoot the machine in, conveyor, and the main machine. We're also going to need a hammer drill from you. Once you got that set up, airline will be required. You're going to make sure you have to have at least a 1/2 inch, minimum 1/2 inch airline going to it. Not a hose, but a pipe. Ideally, you want to size it up as much as you can all the time. Okay, I'm going to go back to my operations here. I'm going to go ahead and hit start. Once again, the blades come on, clamps come in, push the material up against the fence. Then the bar actually comes down and clamps it. Then the 2 angle clamps disengage. Once again, they come in, they clamp. So we're actually doing 2. We've got a ball screw operation going on here. The black handles are how you're doing adjustments with a little encoder on each one. This whole carriage, depending on what angle that you want, will actually pivot. So this whole table can pivot quite a ways depending on what you're trying to do. Now it's going to pivot left or right hand depending on the application that you're trying to get done. So in this demonstration, I've actually got 2 boards in here. Both boards actually fall down behind the machine, nice and easy. Both boards actually make it down the eject escapement on the back side. We built this machine for the open house trade show we have here every April, and had a tremendous amount of success with it. Huge interest in this machine, as well as the rest of our stair equipment. This is an accessory machine, goes along with the SSR. The SSR is think of a CNC stair machine. You're doing the 520 different options. No riser, angled riser, no wedge. Yes, I want a wedge. No, I don't want a riser at all. You can actually do jump dado, what I'd call jump dado. No nose, a lot of different options. We also have stair wedge machinery, 2260. We also have a 2210. That's a stair clamp. Put all your pieces together, clamp it all together, put in your rise and your run, put things as you assemble them. Future machines are down the pike for bull noses. Okay. Moving right along. When the machine's actually in operation, such as right now, your main power light stays on, your cycle light stays on. The cycle light's going to identify what's happening. Now the machine just shut down. I want to draw your attention to that. As it shuts down, the light goes off. It tells you, okay, I am done with this function. Now you're ready to go ahead and set the machine up, do the next operation. Once again, I wanted to show that we can actually cut two boards at the same time. But the biggest thing I really wanted to identify, if we do cut two boards at one time, we're still ejecting them. There's no other change necessary. So that's really a sweet deal. We try to come up with things that were really dirt simple, guys. Things that you would enjoy the most. And we believe we successfully got that accomplished. So there we are. Once again, you can feed from left. I'm on the left-hand side to the right, or you can feed from right to left, depending on what application. What side of the tread do you want to cut first? In a lot of cases, different applications is really going to matter quite a bit. Now, we made this initial cut. You can take your skill saw, cut it off, and come back. Likewise, on the tail end of the machine, try and get this up here so the video camera can see it. Once again, put your skill saw in here, follow it, and then cut it off again, whatever's required. This is just intended to give you a nice, fast guide. We're just thinking what's quick, what's fast. Now, the beauty of the controls, I'm going to go ahead and stop this here real fast. The beauty of the controls, it's real easy to read. You've got a green screen with black letters. Nice, easy, and fast. It's not a problem. Once again, each one of the lights illuminate to show you which options. You just have to pick one of the lights that's illuminated that's of interest to you. If you want to go through the functions. If you want to change any of the parameters inside, whether it's the rise or the run, things of that nature, you do it right on the keypad. Now, everything starts to shut down, goes through its operation. I'm going to actually kill the main power because I'm going to move things around. Just before that, I didn't kill the main power. You've got air pressure locking everything in place, so it's not going to move on you. Okay? If I didn't shut the power down, I'd have a little bit of a difficulty moving this. But you can real quickly start to see the range that's going to go on, and how am I going to get to 12? Okay? I can bring it right back, put it in setup mode, and I can dial in exactly where the computer had it last time. If I want to repeat the operation, or I want to change, I want to do 6 and 11. Okay? I'll bring it back the other direction. Crank's nice and easy. Generally going to make a run of items. It's always helpful to batch jobs that are similar together, so we're not big changes each and every time. Generally going to run lefts to rights for the most part. Most people in the nation. A few individuals like to run from right to left, which is just fine. And dial this back in. You've also got quite a bit of range. You've got all the range available that we normally have in an SSR machine. The biggest advantage here, open stringer, such as we're doing on this machine, and the 45-degree cuts, you're not going to be able to get that accomplished on the SSR. And this is a lot faster. Okay, I'm going to do a miter cut real quick, guys. I'm going to get a board up here and set it up here. Get stuff into place. My power light is illuminated. On the screen it says enable power, pull the e-stop button. Got that accomplished. I'm going to go ahead and reset these. Pull this over, lay it down on the side. Once again it hits its fixed stop. In the application of a skirt board, this is really a handy item. I'm going to go ahead and get this board in here. Okay. All right. I'm going to go through my setup operations real quick. Dial everything in. I'm going to be right in your way of viewing here, guys, which hopefully you saw it last go around. Okay, and I'm there. Okay, now I've got both of these saws leaning at 45 degrees right now, guys. Before they were both up at 90. You can count one at 45 and one at 90 on either side. So for instance, if we wanted this at 90 and this stay at 45, it'll do it. You want to do vice versa, this at 90, this one at 45, it'll do it. It's just a matter of manually doing it. Once again, semi-automatic, PC controls, runs and does everything for you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and hit the start button. Cycle light comes on, starts to flash, tell us that we're actually in operation mode. We come in, make the first initial cut. Come back in, do it one more time. Skirt board application here.